Come on, jump up and down, move on around and shake your body to the ground. Jump up and down, move on around and shake your.
When the Nintendo Wii was first announced in 2005, it was codenamed Revolution. It promised to change the entire landscape of the industry by incorporating a crazy new controller setup in order to get everybody into video games. For the most part, they succeeded in creating that revolution, but maybe not from a gameplay perspective. The biggest impact that the Nintendo Wii seems to have had, second biggest, is how it's influenced its competition. See, in 2007, when the Nintendo Wii was dominating the sales charts and constantly selling out, Sony and Microsoft took notice and started developing their own motion controls. We ultimately know what became of Sony's motion controller, the PlayStation Move, which was revealed at E3 2009. While the main focus of this video will be based on the Kinect, I might as well let people know my thoughts about the Move. Sony has not given a single crap about the Move since the day it was launched. It's an undeniably superior version of the Wii Remote, but Sony haven't even attempted to put the Move to any sort of good use. Sony have even admitted that they could have done better. It's a great piece of tech, but a blatant rip-off that nobody cared for. Okay, let's move on to the Kinect. While the Kinect was obviously in response to the Nintendo Wii, credit does have to be given to Microsoft for at least showing some sort of originality. See, while the Move was just a Wiimote with a big glowing ball at the end, the Kinect, which was also announced at E3 2009, is a high-tech camera which allows the player to engage with the game by using their whole body. No buttons required, just gestures and body movements. That is awesome. It's a genuinely great way to keep people healthy and active, as opposed to lazily swinging a Wii Remote on a sofa to attack with your sword in Twilight Princess. And for the most part, when the Kinect launched in 2010, it was a smash hit. The publicity was non-stop and it sold 8 million units in its first 60 days, which put it in the Guinness Book of World Records as the fastest selling consumer electronics device. However, its lineup was tepid, to say the least. While games like Dance Central and Kinectimals had something new to offer, games like Kinect Sports, Kinect Adventures, Motion Sports and Sonic Free Riders were slapdash party games trying to convert Wii owners. But we're a couple of minutes into this video and I've yet to justify why I feel like the Kinect sucks, hence the title. So I'm going to divide the subject into 3 points, 3 reasons why the Kinect sucks. Reason number 1. The audience. Here's the thing, by the time Kinect was released in 2010, the Nintendo Wii had been on the market for 4 years. 4 freaking years. It was only around this stage that you would be able to get one without much hassle, and if that wasn't enough, the Wii has been the cheapest console and has had an entire advertising campaign dedicated to bringing in the entire family that actually succeeded. This wasn't a console war. This was a console slaughter. Thanks to the likes of Wii Sports, Mario Kart and hundreds of other family games, pretty much all of the family members who wanted to play those types of games had already bought a Wii over its much more powerful, expensive but less accessible competitors. So Microsoft's plan to win over that family-friendly Wii audience was to do exactly the same thing as them. Not only was this stupid, it was really stupid. It would have been one thing if Microsoft had tried a different image or tried to find a middle ground between casual and hardcore gamers, but with titles like Kinect Sports, they weren't even freaking trying. So the audience, just who was the Kinect for? Why target a demographic which already has a perfectly serviceable family gaming device in their home already? They don't care about HD, and they wouldn't buy a second console just to get the same type of experience. And they sure as hell weren't going to convince the hardcore gamers to take the plunge, because almost all of the games were party games, which most hardcore gamers seem to detest, and they've grown far too used to simple buttons. The Kinect can't even appeal to the people caught in the middle, who play it as a simple hobby, Wii, and don't just play party games, because, well, okay, I'll save that for reason number 3, but the tone of the games also proves that not only do Microsoft have no idea who to pitch the Kinect to, but neither do the developers. The footage on screen now are for 2 games, Fruit Ninja Kinect and Racketeer. Both games are based off games that can easily be downloaded on a smartphone. Fruit Ninja Kinect is a console port of Fruit Ninja, and Racketeer is a blatant Angry Birds clone, but in 3D. See, what made Fruit Ninja and Angry Birds so popular was the fact that not only are they incredibly cheap, but most people have their phones on them all the damn time. Waiting for a bus, whip out the phone and slice some fruit. Waiting in line at a market, topple a building or 2 on Angry Birds. So what do you have to do if you want to do those things on the Kinect? Well, plug in your Kinect and television if you haven't already, turn on the television, switch to the Xbox channel, turn on the Xbox, navigate the menus, select the game, wait for it to load, then start playing. I really hope I don't have to explain why games like this don't belong on a home console. Those games were designed to be played on a phone at a moment's notice. Mobile entertainment should be instant entertainment, and Fruit Ninja and Angry Birds were designed with that in mind. Also, the pricing. On the iPhone App Store, Fruit Ninja and Angry Birds are 69 pence each. If you want to pay for one of those games on the Xbox, you have to pay 800 Microsoft points, which is around £8. So, in order to play a much more cumbersome version of a game you can easily play at any time in your pocket, you have to pay over 11 times as much. Microsoft, are you fucking high? So, reason number 1. Microsoft and the developers have no idea which audience they were pitching to for the Kinect. Reason number 2. Developer mentality. Here's the thing about Kinect games. Developers don't like making them. It's completely and utterly obvious. Party games with hardly any options, campaigns that take an hour or 2 to complete, and hardcore AAA games tacking on Kinect options in order to appease Microsoft and let them know that what they've done wasn't a complete waste of time, although the Kinect is a complete waste of time. A few years ago, a game was announced called Joyride. It was going to be a Mario Kart clone racer, but it was advertised as a free downloadable game where you can play as your Xbox avatars. A nice novelty, but then Kinect was announced, and the game became a fully priced product that was Kinect exclusive. As a result, the game barely fucking worked.
Fist bump.
This mentality says a lot for game developers. They don't want to make Kinect games. Microsoft is forcing them to. They're finding loopholes in contracts saying you have to make a game for the Kinect because nobody else wants to. I can guarantee that many of them were contractually obligated to make Kinect games, even if the game wouldn't even benefit from that control scheme. But developers didn't even have an incentive for making Kinect games in the first place. Do you know why? Because the Kinect is a peripheral device. See, with the Wii, the player is guaranteed to have at least one Wiimote and at least one nunchuck. Guaranteed. So if you want to develop for the Wii, you have to learn to use the technology. Sure, a few broken, gimmicky games were released for the Wii, but shortly after release, third parties were using the technology in creative ways because, well, they had to learn to do it. But what about the balance board? Sure, you'll get a few games that use its features in additional game modes, and sure, it's a big benefit for the fitness genre, but with the exception of those fitness games, you'll never see a game that only uses the balance board. You know why? Because it's a very expensive peripheral device, and there's no guarantee that every Wii owner will own one. The same for Kinect. Not every Xbox owner will have one. This is why I believe Kinect should have been saved for the next generation if it was ever going to be introduced, because then the Kinect could have been an integral part of the Xbox 720 or whatever they're going to call it, and then developers would have to learn to develop for it. Microsoft, just ask Sega how well their midlife tech peripherals went down, and this perfectly leads on to reason number 3. The Kinect doesn't fucking work.
You ever wonder what the bottom of an Avatar shoe looks like? Well, bam! There it is.
This is the downside of having a peripheral that developers have no incentive to learn how to utilize. They have no idea how to use it. There's a reason Nintendo were able to release Mario, Zelda and Metroid games that use the hardware in clever and effective ways, whereas Microsoft haven't even bothered to release a Halo or Gears of War game on the Kinect because they know they can't do it. Yes, you'll get the occasional fitness game that works well, and Dance Central is probably the only Kinect game that definitely works, but for the most part, Kinect games are buggy, poorly designed, and downright embarrassing products. And before you ask, yes, I have played the Kinect before. The first time I played it, I played Kinect Sports at my local game retailer, at one of those free-to-try booths, and it didn't appeal to me at all, because it didn't play very well. The last straw for me was during the football game, where you had to do a throw-in by doing a kicking motion. You're not even trying, are you, Kinect Sports? You asked me to throw by doing a kicking motion. You have to deliberately try to mess up in order to do something like that. But anyway, there are a few games that quote-unquote work, but critical consensus mainly says, yeah, it's a good game, but it would have been so much better if it wasn't for Kinect. And those are for games that sometimes work. What about the games that arrive on store shelves in an unplayable state? Steel Battalion, anyone? What about navigating the menus, just the menus in Sonic Freeriders?
Fire! Lava! Tomb? Fire! The red one! God dang it, just with this manually... No! God! No! No! I just want to select the one with the fire! The magma! Magma! God, just get over here. It is magma! God, trying to stand on...
Going back to the developer mentality point, why are so many Kinect games based around fast-paced motions when the Kinect can't do fast-paced motions? Why can't the Kinect register motions if you have a piece of real estate to grab onto, like a steering wheel? How else are we going to be able to play an effective racing game without something in our hands? Was there no way you could have fixed the camera range to make it so you wouldn't have to have a room the size of a small bungalow in order to play the damned Kinect in the first place? Why are there some games that won't work based on what colour clothing you have on? Why are games designed based around 2 players despite the Kinect struggling to follow 2 people? How did this thing get released? I could honestly list criticism after criticism at the Kinect, and I know that Extra Credits already made a video explaining why they felt like it didn't work very well. They explained that the Kinect is the uncanny valley of motion controls, and while their argument makes sense, I don't agree with it, because I feel like they're over-analysing the issue. The Kinect doesn't work because the Kinect sucks. Sure, the Wii may be gimmicky, but at least it fucking works. Microsoft seemed to have dropped almost all first-party support for the Kinect, and at press conferences it seems to be relegated to navigating the menus on stage, because apart from Dance Central, it's the only thing the Kinect can actually do. Slow, deliberate movements, and even then, Smart Glass seems to render the Kinect obsolete in that regard. I hope you 8 million people who bought a Kinect in the first 60 days are happy. You just bought a £100 webcam for your console. The reason I'm annoyed is that the Kinect could have genuinely been the next big leap forward for the industry, a great tool that changes the way we interact with consoles and entertainment devices, but Microsoft handled it so poorly in every aspect. While the PlayStation Move might have been a copycat, it at least worked, but everything about the Kinect is an absolute failure, despite its initial success at launch. Microsoft just had no idea who they were selling it to, developers had no incentive to develop for it, and the technology just wasn't there in the first place. The Kinect sucks. And that's really disappointing.